Why are we talking about Mjolnir?
We'll get to it. I gotta go.
Okay.
I've got to go use the restroom first.
All right, have a good
I
time.
waited till the last possible second to go whiz, so because we're going to be here for an hour and a half. I'll be right back.
Hey, Super Friends, I'm Jason Inman, and did you know that comic books were once used as morale boosters for troops overseas? That's a true fact. And in honor of that, I am announcing that I am running again the Jawin Comic Drive for Soldiers 2017. Over the last 2 years, with your help and various comic book companies and comic stores, we sent over 70,000 comic books to soldiers overseas and at home. And this year, we're going to send another slice of nerdiness right to those troops to show them how much we care. I'm teaming up for the second year in a row with the amazing Operation Gratitude for the Comic Drive. With their help, we're going to try to send from November 1st to November 30th, 22,000 comic books to soldiers overseas and at home and their families. Last year, we asked for only 20,000, but this year, I really think we can beat that number. If you don't know, every year, Operation Gratitude sends over 200,000 individually addressed care packages to soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines deployed overseas and to their children left behind. Also, veterans, first responders, wounded heroes, and their caregivers. Each package contains food, hygiene products, entertainment, and handmade items, as well as personal weapons.
I can already tell we're going to have fun, so let's hit it.
Okay. Go to that thing I just posted.
Okie dokie. Where are you going to get a camera?
I thought about that today, actually. I don't know.
Okay. Why don't we, spend a few bucks and get one?
Got to have the bucks to spend.
Oh, my God. It's 20 or 30 bucks.
No, it isn't.
Dude, I just want to be able to see you so you can wave at me when you got to wipe your nose or something.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, this is the Comic Drive for Soldiers. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Who do we decide we are?
Brian Michael Bendis and who?
I don't know. Who do you want to be?
I don't know.
Okay.
What? How about Matt Fraction?
That'll do.
No, is it Millar or Miller? No,
I don't know.
Because he spells it with an AR.
I think it's Miller.
Okay. Miller, because he announced a Netflix deal today. Well, let me rephrase that. Well, Netflix announced what his first.
Oh, yeah. He signed that agreement with them, didn't he?
Yeah, and they announced what the first TV deal would be. I forget what it was, but, they announced it. So there you go. Okay. What was the other thing you want to talk about besides that story?
Bendis Gate.
Yeah, there was something else, though. You hit me with it yesterday. Or Sunday.
Oh, the True Believer thing.
What's that?
And just talking about, we can save it for another time, but just talking about how, first of all, hey, they're re-releasing that material. Go to your local comic book store and buy it.
Oh.
Second, hey, if they can reprint these for $1, why are we paying $5 a pop for a comic book?
And I meant to go out and look at a paper, and I didn't. Okay, but we can hit that, or we hit it next week, whichever you want to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of. We'll hit it. We'll talk about it some other time because we're already going to talk about Bendis.
Okay. Oh, snap.
All right.
That's not here.
What?
Oh, I was just remembered that Free Comic Day isn't in Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right, though. I have it under control. I'm ready, man.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of October 30th, 2017. I'm Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we are Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Millar and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, and we're just all kinds of people, man, because it's the week to be those people.
Absolutely. Why is it the week to be those people?
The
Brian Michael Bendis thing I understood, but you went with Ric Flair and
dude,
lost me.
Because this is the night we are recording on November 7th, and tonight is the premiere of the documentary of Nature Boy on ESPN. I would give you a woo, but to do it properly, I would have to yell into the microphone. You know, I'd like strip down to my underwear and run around and give you a woo, but you know, you don't want to see that and they don't want to hear it. Okay.
Please don't strip down to your underwear and give me a woo. That sounds awful.
You never seen Ric Flair do that?
I don't consent to that at all.
Okay, I'll send you a YouTube video of Ric Flair doing it.
No, I'm aware of Ric Flair doing his thing.
Anyway, his 30 for 30 documentary comes out on ESPN tonight, and I expect everyone to watch it. It will be everywhere on ESPN for the next couple of weeks. It'll be hard to miss. It is. Here's what it is: how to be an excellent athlete and make millions of dollars while spending tens of millions of dollars and being a drunken womanizer at the same time.
So every sports story ever.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I heard one guy say Ric Flair was the only person he knew that could have $1 in his pocket and spend 200.
Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that about Ric Flair.
There's so much tragedy in Ric Flair's life, from his near-death experiences to the plane crash in '75 where he broke his back and broke 3 vertebrae, and they told him he'd never wrestle again, to the death of his son, that they don't touch on his financial issues. But dude, he's been broke like 3 or 4 times.
More times than Donald Trump.
I've been through like 6 wives that he's paying for. I've lost track of the wives, man. It may not be 6. It may only be 3 or 4, but you know, all the womanizing has led to X number of divorces.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to tell us about how you feel about Pat running around in his underwear yelling woo, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That is the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You know, I almost had a comment there, but that's really inappropriate because, you know, everybody is being accused of accosting people these days. So God forbid I actually make a comment. If you're like in Hollywood and you ever touch someone ever in the last 50 years, you're being, you know, your career's over. So anyway,
that's a little bit of a simplified statement of what's going on in Hollywood right now. That's an oversimplification.
It's an oversimplification, but God help you if you ever touched anyone, man.
Well, maybe you shouldn't touch people.
I agree.
Or,
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Rape them.
I totally agree. But dude, it's who was I watching? I was watching a video of somebody, and he like reached over and put his hand on somebody's knee to calm them down. And they were like accusing him of rape. Who was that? I can't remember who it was, man. It was a really famous actor, and he was just, I mean, everybody was laughing and joking, and the girl was busting up laughing. He basically just reached over and kind of slapped her on the knee and kind of touched it. And dude, they were calling it sexual assault. And I was like, really? And the video is like 15 years old. I was like, wow, this is what we've come to.
Okay.
Anyway,
not to step into that.
www.6monthsbehind.com
is the website where you can read about all the Secret Empire stuff that's gone up this week.
Yeah. And there's lots of Secret Empire stuff that's going up this week. And when you get to it, and we'll come to this in a few minutes because we need to return this to a lighthearted moment. I do word associations. All right. This is how I'm terrible with names. There were places to remember things. I do word associations. If I have to write something down, I don't write it down phonetically. I write it down how I associate it. So we're discussing the name of Thor's hammer before we go in the air because it's going to be relevant in a few minutes. So Bean's like, well, it's pronounced Mjolnir. And I'm like, okay. So he writes this thing on the thing. I don't even know what that whatever he puts up there.
Mjolnir.
Okay. So I do it a word association that will come out properly to me. Okay. Mjolnir. Yeah. Mule. Come here. Near. Mule. Okay.
Yeah.
Mjolnir. Okay. It's a
as in
word
a donkey.
association.
Yeah.
Yes, a donkey.
So you wrote out mule like a donkey, near.
Yes.
As if a donkey is near you.
Here. Yes.
Mule near. And I just said that's the most redneck thing I've ever heard.
Dude, it's a word association because it helps me remember it. Okay. It's like the dude across the street. His name's Gavin. All right. I would never remember Gavin, but I associated him with Gavin McLeod, the actor that was in he was in Mary Tyler Moore. He was in The Love Boat. He was in Hogan's Heroes, the movie.
Showing your age here.
I don't care. Okay, but I associated it with that actor, and I can remember his name. Okay. I'm never going to remember what you spelled out. You got a mule, mirror. Okay, now I got it.
Makes me think of the scene of Thor 2 where I don't even remember her name, but it's Kat Dennings' character, and she's like Mia Mia because she can't remember the name of the hammer, so she just calls it Mia Mia. I saw Thor Ragnarok. Total lack of Kat Dennings in that movie really hurt that movie.
Oh, come on, man.
I like Kat Dennings, and she was in the first two. She should have been in the others.
Come on, man. Korg more than makes up for it.
Yeah, I guess so. But Korg was great. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, we won't spoil it, but it's worth seeing, even if you haven't enjoyed the previous Thor movies, because it's nothing like the previous Thor movies.
It's not, and it's a boatload of fun. Action, comedy. It's fun.
So before we get into our comic books this week, we have a couple things to discuss. The first is something that I caught on majorspoilers.com, but I wanted to tell you guys about. Jason Inman, who is the host for DC All Access, and he does a bunch of stuff on YouTube with his wife, Ashley Victoria Robinson. He does a lot in the comic book world. You guys may even know who he is, but he every year does this comic drive for soldiers, and their goal this year is to raise 22,000 comic books to donate to soldiers overseas, specifically for the holidays and New Year's. This, it gives them something to read, and it's a little bit of home for the soldiers. So, and we're going to have it up on the website. If you want to donate comic books to this comic book drive, you have to fill out a donation form. You have to box and ship the comics with the donation form to an address. And then you have to send pictures in of the comics to Jason Inman. We'll have all the details on the website if you want to do that, but we would really appreciate it if you guys could participate if you have comics that you would like to donate. It's a good cause, and I wanted to bring it up. Yeah. And Jason Inman was he's a Iraq veteran, so it's a good cause and it's close to his heart. So
yes, and that brings us to why we were Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Millar. Or
what I have termed
or Jonathan Hickman,
Gate.
or
Matt Fraction or Tracy DeConnick or
Tom King, or
yeah,
we just keep naming writers. But
yeah.
Bendis.
Yeah, the news broke today that Brian Michael Bendis is leaving Marvel and going to write exclusively for DC. Now, that's a big deal for a lot of reasons. One is that you usually don't see this sort of thing. Typically, when publishers write exclusivity deals with writers, it's typically with someone who's been working for them for a little while. Bendis has done almost no DC work. There's like one issue of a comic book, of a Batman comic book from the 90s. You know, that's the extent of his DC work. And then you have his, I mean, Brian Michael Bendis is not just a prolific comic book writer, but he has defined the modern Marvel universe. Everything that we think of as the modern Marvel universe, he has either originated or influenced in some way. You can even make the case that the cinematic universe is built on Brian Michael Bendis's work. We've done that on the show before.
Yes.
So that's a big deal, and I think it's a big problem for Marvel.
And we've discussed this on the show before. You and I each spent about 30 minutes one night while we were texting, trying to find Brian Michael Bendis's net worth and whether or not he got credit for some of what he did, some of what Marvel did cinematically, because so much of it is directly comes from his comics. All right. I'll give you we discuss spoilers on this show. We're about to discuss one in movies. Okay. We're going to discuss Secret Empire in a few minutes. In Secret Empire Free Comic Book Day, which is the issue we're going to discuss, I'm going to discuss some of the things that happen in there's some things that happen in Free Comic Book Day that are never really explained throughout the next 10 issues. And I'm going to touch on them very briefly to put them in context, because they're never put in context anywhere else in the 10 issues that I ever read. And I read this series pretty thoroughly. So we're about to discuss this. We're going to discuss spoilers. If you don't want to know a spoiler about Avengers 3 and 4, skip ahead about 1 minute. Jeremy Renner was spotted filming Avengers 4 last week in a Ronin costume. Okay. In New Avengers, Hawkeye becomes Ronin for a couple of years. It's a direct creation of Brian Michael Bendis, period. Nobody else. All right. He created the
responsible for putting Hawkeye in the Ronin persona.
He created the persona. He created the costume. He did all of it. He isn't getting a dime of that money. As near as you and I could determine from our research, he isn't getting a dime from any of these movies. And we're talking billions that these movies have generated from his writing. And Marvel didn't cut him in, and Disney didn't cut him in. And I could see where DC would say, hey, getting the movies going.
He's even consulting on the movies, which I assume he is getting paid to consult on the movies, but he's consulting on the movie because it's his. He came up with it.
But not the kind of money we're talking about, man.
No.
Not a point or two like it should be.
No, absolutely not.
And I when it's all said and done, I bet you that's the kind of deal that DC and that's purely speculation. I would almost guarantee that's the kind of deal that DC dropped on him.
And I have to wonder, it makes me think that maybe behind the scenes, he was trying to get at some of that money and Marvel was just not having it. And so I could see how that would sour his relationship with them and run him into DC's arms. I'm not saying that happened, but I could see a scenario where that would be the case.
Yeah, because when we Googled his net worth, we expected it. Dude, he created Jessica Jones. I mean, it's its own TV series on Netflix.
Right. He revived Luke Cage. I mean, the what you're seeing in the first 2 seasons of Daredevil are derived from the stuff he wrote.
Yeah.
And this is just an extension of the problem that's been an issue in comics forever is, since these creators don't own these characters, they don't get credit for it other than just writing credit. But he's not even getting that on the movie. When, there are writers involved in the movie, but their source material is his writings. Yeah. So he should be getting some money from those movies. And I got to wonder if that wasn't a point of contention here that caused this to happen.
Yeah.
But either way,
he gone.
Yeah, he's gone, and Marvel's got to step up. That's not to say that they don't have good writers. They do. And I think you're going to see Jason Aaron kind of take center stage here, which they've been grooming him for a while. But they just, that's a body blow to Marvel's creative endeavors.
It does kind of explain some things, though, because some of his work the last few months has kind of been wandering, and it kind of explains why he seems to have lost focus for the last few months.
I mean, I don't know. We're going to talk about infamous Iron Man here in a little bit, and that's good. His Spider-Man stuff's been good. His X-Men stuff hasn't been great. His Daredevil was all right.
His Defender stuff I'm buying off the newsstand isn't great.
Is it not? I wondered. Yeah. But Jessica Jones is good.
It's good. It's good. It's just not great. The Jessica Jones stuff is great, man. It's great. Yeah. So this week's comics.
Yeah. Well, one more thing on the Bendis thing. If DC's willing to sign that kind of agreement with him, they didn't bring him over to write Blue Beetle.
I wouldn't think so. No.
What's he gonna do? It's pure speculation, but what would you like to see him do at DC?
You just added 10 minutes to the podcast. I've picked up a couple of Batman books recently. That Tom King book, dude, that Batman White or whatever it's called, the one with the Joker. That's a great book. And if DC had an app like Marvel Unlimited, I'd be on that thing in a heartbeat. I don't torrent comic books. I don't have the money to pick up DC's line, and I wouldn't know where to start if I did. And that's one of the reasons I haven't jumped in. Is their universe is so big, I don't know really where to start at. But they got some really good things going on over there. They do. And if I wasn't if the Marvel app wasn't so easy, $9.99 all the books, period, boom, I would be buying DC books instead of Marvel. That's how good they are at this point.
I haven't read anything from DC in quite a while.
This is me talking.
Sorry, hang on. Brian Michael Bendis just tweeted something.
Is that a joke, or did he really tweet something?
No, he really tweeted something. Okay. Yeah, it has to do with Batman. So I guess none of us are we're not the first ones to have this idea. We think DC is going to hand him Batman.
Everything that DC is doing, except for maybe Superman, is the stuff they're doing with Justice League, the stuff they're doing with Wonder Woman, the Green Lantern stuff, the Batman stuff, the Flash stuff. It's all really, since they relaunched their universe two years ago and undid that Grant Morrison fiasco, and Jim Lee and what's the editor's name? Help me out.
Well, there's Dan DiDio, who's
Dan DiDio, thank
editor in chief.
Yes, Jim Lee and Dan DiDio sat down and what was it called? It's I can't remember what it's called, but a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months ago, they straightened the mess out, relaunched the universe, and it's just been on fire ever since.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard. I just, all the Batman stuff, apparently it's all good, but the Batman stuff in particular is pretty good, and I wonder if that's if he's going to be the future of that. I think he'd be good on Justice League too. I mean, he did Avengers really well, so why not Why not literally take a play out of Marvel's playbook?
For what little bit I've read of the Justice League, it's good, man.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got to. The thing is, he's got to wrap up whatever his contract is with Marvel, finish off the books he's writing, and hand them off. And he's got to start writing stuff for DC. So it's going to be a little while before we see his work, I think. So this is DC looking towards the future of their stuff. Yeah, I think Justice League or Batman would be a good place for him. You might even see him do Superman.
I wish you could do something with Superman. Superman's hard to write. It's hard to write, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's literally Superman. How do you beat Superman? But anyway, we've talked about this for like half an hour now. We're going to go ahead and dive into our books this week, starting with Secret Empire Free Comic Book Day. Do you want to go ahead and explain where this is? Because obviously, if you haven't noticed, it's not in your Unlimited app.
No, it is not in your Unlimited app. It is literally free. The easiest place to get it is Comixology. Just go to Comixology. It's a free book and download the thing. That's
free.
The easiest way to do. And didn't you say it was somewhere else besides?
Comixology is owned by Amazon, so all of the comics are in the Kindle app as well. You can get to them through that.
Yeah, that's the easiest place to get it. If you go and this is Marvel, this is so bizarre because if you go to that video that I have posted, it's a recap of issue 1. But the order they published these in was 0, 1, and Free Comic Book Day. But Free Comic Book Day takes place between 0 and 1. Now, reading them makes no sense in that order, which is why we're discussing Free Comic Book Day this week and issue 1 next week. So,
right. It gives some context as to what happened between 0 and 1.
Yes. So last week we left off with the Battle of New York, where the heroes were fighting the villains. Now they realize that the real battle is going to be in Washington. So the heroes head to Washington. We begin with the soliloquy, which if you didn't get last week's episode, I won't, or monologue, I should say, I won't tell you who's narrating it, but they're basically discussing the fact that they expect to win, but expecting to win has always come at a price and has always been narrowly accomplished. And we begin with Clint and Natasha running into each other and then going to the fight. When you get to the fight, basically everyone is there. And by the way, just because, it's already going to be a 2-hour podcast, why not make it longer? I put up an alternate cover for number 1.
Yes. Sorry.
Dude, that thing it's got to have every hero and villain involved in Secret Empire and maybe in the Marvel Universe at this point on it. Did you see that thing?
No, I didn't. I was cheering at something else. Danica Rome won. So.
You must have seen the results in the New Jersey governor race.
No, but I saw that too just now. But Danica Rome beat Bob Marshall, and
okay,
that's
Can we focus?
Sorry,
a little bit. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Maybe cut the TV off. Okay.
TV's not on. I don't have a TV in my room.
Okay, then flip the phone over and not look at the notifications.
All right. I can't do that because I have to read comic books, but okay.
Okay, so anyway, it's this huge, it's one of the alternate covers, and it's just gotta have 200 characters on it. It's amazing. It's really cool. So there on page 5, you've got the heroes fighting the villains. You got Red Hulk there. I guess Atlas is back from the Thunderbolts. I guess he's back as a hero again. I don't know how he got there. It's coming. Who cares? The Scarlet Witch is there fighting. Iron Man and Riri are fighting. And everything, Tony actually thinks they might have a slight chance of winning until they see a SHIELD helicarrier show up, or in this case, a Hydra helicarrier. Mm-hmm. And whoever is leading Hydra shows up, which, of course, we know as Captain America. And they all begin speculating quickly on who it might be. And then they see it's Cap. And is it an LMD? Is he being mind controlled? Whatever. And Cap begins explaining that no, he's none of those. just please surrender, and for the good of Hydra, and Hydra will make everything better, and I will make everything better, and I will rule the government in a nice, civilized manner, and everything will be good. And
yeah, strength and order.
yes, strength and order.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. It takes everyone just a moment to stand and ponder that until, of course, it's Tony who says, no, I don't think so. And then the battle ensues again. And as the battle ensues, a few things happen. And these things are important. And we're going to discuss them here because, as I said, I read all 10 books and I don't remember them being explained in the books as we go. So we're going to discuss them here. All right. Thor, Jane Foster, is taken out there. And I spent 30 minutes trying to figure out how. I couldn't figure it out. But it drives, when you get to issue 1 next week, by the time you listen to this, you already have access to issue 1. You will see that Odin's son is fighting with Captain America. He's fighting with Captain America because I believe Jane Foster is trapped inside Mjolnir. I'm not sure, but I think that's what happened. There's never really a good explanation that I have read. But somehow they take out Jane Foster and the hammer drops by itself. It's not explained here. I don't know how it's explained somewhere else. I haven't read it yet. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
The next person taken out is Division. And what you see is Division spitting out a bunch of code. Back in Captain America Steve Rogers number 12, I mentioned it at the time, and if you paid careful attention, I mentioned it. Steve Rogers wouldn't let a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents go in after that killer android because there was an advanced AI running it, and he wanted the advanced AI.
Yeah.
He wanted that artificial intelligence to attack Division right here. Okay? That's what he wanted that artificial intelligence for. When you see Wanda Maximoff right there, she's taken out by the elder god Chthon. Now, are you familiar with Chthon?
Chthon.
Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Chthon. Yeah.
See, well, there's no vowels there.
Right, but it's
Chthon.
Yeah, it's a takeoff of Cthulhu, and the name is Chthon. We dealt with him in
is that the one from the Carnage book?
Yeah.
Okay. Somehow they get that god, and I think it has something to do with Alyssa, to possess Wanda. Now, Steve Rogers has done 2 or 3 things here. He's taken out these, and they're going to become his Avengers. So he hasn't just taken them off the board; he has put them on his team. Then, as you continue, he strategically takes out every Avenger very carefully. He has the Taskmaster take out Iron Man, the AI Iron Man. Some others are taken out as he chooses. All the while, he is walking over to Mjolnir, and you see each one of them being taken out, and they realize that it's slipping away, that the battle's slipping away, and they assume that at some point here they're going to snatch victory from defeat, and instead,
like they always do, and instead, Steve Rogers lifts the hammer because he is somehow worthy. Yeah, that's the last page.
And that's the last page.
Yeah. And this was a big controversy when it happened.
It was a huge controversy when it happened.
Because you have fascist Hydra Captain America Steve Rogers picking up the hammer of Thor when how many times have we seen Thor do something far less egregious and not be able to lift the hammer? It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to give you spoilers that happen over the next 9 issues, 10 issues. This is actually, we haven't even seen one yet, 10 issues, but it doesn't make sense. And no, it doesn't. And I'll say this: he doesn't tote that thing around for the next 10 issues like he does his Shield.
Yeah.
He's going to drop it right there, and it ain't going to move again.
Yeah, because you don't see it. Well, I've read number 1. You don't see him with it in number 1.
No,
but
he's going to drop it right there, and it's going to stay there until somebody picks it up.
Yeah, so that's your big reveal. And then we get number 1 next week. And yeah, man, Secret Empire's it's kicked in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
What do you think of it so far?
Help, it's happening. I don't hate it.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's like you've said, you know, there's a lot of controversy swirling around this. But it's not a bad story. It's not, it's well written, or at least as much as I've read of it. We'll see how it goes. We're only at number 1. Well, technically we're not even at number 1 yet. So we'll see. I'll tell you what I thought about Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider number 1. It was not what I expected it to be.
But before we go,
I
really enjoyed Ben Reilly number 1. I really enjoy Mark Brooks' covers. Who did the cover for this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really Andrea Sorrentino's art, who we discussed last week, is something that kind of grows on me as we go along in this thing. Her art's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Reilly number 1.
Yeah. Ben Reilly number 1. This was not what I expected it to be.
Me neither.
I thought this was going to follow Doc Ock in that perfect body that Ben Reilly made for himself that Doc Ock stole. Nope, this is just straight up Ben Reilly. And he stole some kid's cosplay costume and he's hopping around Las Vegas, talking to imaginary versions of himself. He stops a mugging as the Scarlet Spider, and yeah, he stops the mugger, but he basically hits the woman up for protection money.
I thought that was funny. I don't know why. I have a sick sense of humor. I just...
It was funny, but it was weird.
It was really weird. And the woman's like, okay.
This isn't how I thought this stuff went. So later, he walks up into a casino because he's in Las Vegas, and he's after the lady who's running the place. And some guys wearing masks bust up in there, and they're going to shoot up the place, and they're going to steal everybody's stuff. Ben Reilly stops them, and he's glommed onto this lady who's glued to a slot machine. You know, that gets the attention of the big boss, and now she's upset with him because her daughter was one of the clones that melted in her arms when the clones went bad, when they passed their expiration date. So yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was yeah, it was good.
We'll see where it goes. It's only issue number 1. I wasn't in love with it, but it'll do.
Yeah. In the X books, which we have 4 of this week for some reason, the first one is Old Man Logan 22. And this,
I'm really enjoying all this X-Men stuff.
I am too. He's still trapped in the past. And first he's fighting, how do we pronounce it?
Osmodeus?
Wendigo.
Oh, Wendigo. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And
yeah, he's still fighting I call it the Wendigo.
Wendigo. There you go. See, if I had spelt that out, okay, I could have, if I had done it word association, I could have, done it like you want.
Wind, W-H-E-N, ding, D-I-N-G-O-A-O-H.
Okay,
Ding,
yeah.
O.
There you go. See? And the Hulk, which is his first appearance. He gets away from that, grabs the necklace.
Northam one.
Do what? Dude, come on.
Nothing.
And then I heard
okay, keep going.
And then he goes to New York where we have the Dark Phoenix, and that's
Yeah.
really a bummer to him. From there, it's to Japan, where he fights ninjas, and then he gets this. Dude, why did my autocorrect work this? My autocorrect corrected it to Mary Lou. Seriously?
Who's Mary Lou?
Mariko. Okay, he sees Mariko there. My autocorrect made it Mary Lou. Goodness
Hey there,
gracious.
Mary Lou. Goodness.
Then it's on a metaphor where he's back to being Patch. And,
Yeah.
and I wonder if next issue we're going to get to the scene where Magneto rips all the adamantium out of his body. That would be entertaining.
Oh, and he becomes like feral Wolverine for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is basically a vehicle for him reliving all of the eras in his life.
I don't know about the errors because Mariko wasn't an error, but everything else, everything else is kind of been. He's jumping through the critical moments of his life, good and bad, and most of them happen to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Logan for you.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah, it was a good book. I enjoyed it.
It was good.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I haven't disliked any of the Old Man Logan stuff, and we're on issue 22 now, and all of it's been really good for the most part. There's that one weird Dracula issue, but I can forgive that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we move on to Weapon X #2, which Greg Pak is writing this, and Greg Land's doing the art. He did this awesome cover. There seems to be this consensus that you just need to take the X-Men back to their roots. So you just, with this book and the others, you just have the X-Men doing X-Men things. In this book, you have Wolverine, Sabretooth, and all of the Weapon X projects being rounded back up by the Weapon X program to experiment on them again. I mean, the whole point of this book is to put all of them together so that they can be a team and take down the Weapon X project. That's the ultimate goal here. So in the second issue, we open with a reintroduction to Warpath, who spots a helicopter harassing some wild horses in, where is he? Arizona.
Arizona. He's on one of the reservations, which is Arizona, I believe.
Right. And which apparently that's a thing people do. People in helicopters will harass horses.
They'll harass horses. They'll ride around and shoot buffalo. They'll shoot animals. They'll hunt from helicopters. Yes.
I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, I don't know why I would know that was a thing, but apparently it's a thing.
It's a very illegal thing, but yes,
yeah.
It's a thing.
So he goes to stop them, brings down the helicopter, and it's a dummy in the seat, which is when he realizes something weird's up, which is when the horses that the thing was harassing turn into these awful new Weapon X killers. And so they, now Weapon X has collected another of their former projects. Then you go back to Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting off these things. They're running away from them for a little while. And it's basically them evading capture.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Weapon X seems to be successful in capturing pretty much everybody else.
Yes.
They've got Warpath, they've got Yuriko, Lady Deathstrike. They've got one of the others. So yeah, they really are just looking for Wolverine and Sabretooth. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. It was good. I enjoyed it.
It was all these X books are good.
Yeah. And we'll keep talking about it, but yeah, it feels like it's just getting back to X-Men doing X-Men things.
I'm looking. This is a great week for books.
There's some good books this week. Even the stuff that we don't normally care for is not half bad.
Yeah. X-Men Blue #2. This is, I didn't look at who's doing the art, and I don't have the notes in front of me because I've got the Ultimate
Adrian
open.
No, that's gold. Never mind.
The dude who was fired is doing gold. But anyway, So we
Which is a
begin with
shame, 'cause it's always
Magneto
been good.
trying to convince Jean Grey. We have a flashback as to how the X-Men, the young X-Men, wound up working for Magneto, and Magneto's trying to convince Jean Grey that the X-Men should help him, and he eventually takes off his
It's
helmet and let her read his mind.
yeah, George Molina's doing the inks and Matt Mila's doing the color, which is the team that was doing Daredevil up until recently.
This looks much better than their Daredevil work did.
I don't know, man. I like that Daredevil stuff.
Then we cut to the Danger Room, where the same X-Men are training to fight Magneto because none of them trust him. The problem is Bobby isn't there because he's still having personal issues. Dear God, please let that in. And Hank is having demon issues, which I'm kind of enjoying. Then Jean realizes that Magneto is hiding something, and of course Magneto is hiding something. Then they go to fight Sentinels in Spain.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, good issue. Yeah.
It was good. Yes, I know my battery's low. Thank you. Yeah, so X-Men Gold #2. Lots of #2s this week. Lots of X-Men stuff. Kitty Pryde and her team, which is Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Rachel Gray, now going by Prestige, and Old Man Logan. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants have attacked the UN headquarters in New York, and they're there to stop them. Old Man Logan gets a face full of fire from one of the Brotherhood, which I don't know who it is, but apparently she was an X-Man at one point. In fact, she's one of the New Mutants, but I don't know who she is.
Magna. She was like, she was a very early New Mutant. She came along with like the first 10 or 15 issues.
Yeah, but she's one of the New Mutants, isn't she?
Yes.
Okay.
As I said, she was one of the very early New Mutants. She
Okay.
came in issue 10 or 15.
I thought you said X-Men. Okay.
No.
So he gets burned in the face, so Nightcrawler teleports him out to go heal, which, by the way, how can he be here fighting the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants if he's evading capture from Weapon X? I don't know.
Who are we talking about? Wolverine?
Wolverine, yeah.
We go back to the issue where, you know, we spent a week with him.
Yeah, that was
about 7 or 8 years ago.
Right. Nightcrawler and Old Man Logan run into trouble because they run into Mesmero, who I don't even know who that is, really.
Oh, come on. That's an old school X-Men villain.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't strike any bells for me. But apparently he's up to something now. The rest of the X-Men team fight off the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants until S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. And then Kitty's being debriefed by Captain America. And I guess this is before...
yes.
This takes place before Secret Empire because...
Yes. Do we have another election update?
No. Logan is... he's been captured by Mesmero. He manages to escape and calls up Kitty to tell her where they are and what's going on. Meanwhile, all of the mutants are sitting around the X-Mansion. They're kind of worried about this commentator on the Facts channel who's very much like, I don't know, her name's Lydia Nance, and she's another mutant hater. You know, we always have those. So yeah, it wasn't half bad. For issue #2, it feels like it's spinning a lot of plates already.
Yeah, it does. It's good.
Yeah, it's got a lot of directions to go in, I feel like.
Good. Very good.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Great Lakes Avengers #7, because we have to. I
thought you liked this book.
I did, and it got so silly that I don't know. They're fighting Dr. Nod, and Bertha's fighting Dr. Nod, and she beats Dr. Nod, and then Dr. Nod drinks more of the formula and gets like 50 feet tall, and Bertha gets whatever it is, 15, 20, 50 feet tall, and then they shoot the dead guy, whatever his name is, inside of Dr. Nod, who going in there and giving him a heart attack. I think, I don't know, man. It's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, that's what I expected from that book.
And then at the end, Deadpool shows up and revokes their Avengers membership.
Oh, is this the last issue?
Last issue.
Well, thank God.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't see this lasting long.
No, it didn't. I wish they'd just call these limited series and be done with it.
I'm not sure they intended for this to be a limited series.
I don't know what they're doing. I
thought they might actually. I think they actually thought they had something with this.
I guess. I don't know.
And I'm not opposed to doing a Great Lakes Avengers book again or a West Coast Avengers book, but yeah, not like this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to take it seriously. I'm just saying not like this.
Right.
Although your West Coast Avengers are essentially this team that Hawkeye's built in Occupy Avengers at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I guess not, because they're technically in Iowa right now. But yeah, there's this standoff with these Skrull hunter groups with this town of Skrulls that they found, who are attempting to live out peaceful lives, hiding as normal humans in Dunkston, Iowa, manure capital of the United States. So that's going on. Lots of people are shooting at each other. The real development is at some point the leader of this group has one of them hostage and is essentially yelling at everybody else in the town to, listen, you can give yourselves up peacefully or we can kill you all. It's totally up to you. And, they're not going down without a fight. So dude shoots one of them in the head and his wife freaks out and turns back into her regular Skrull self. But it turns out it's not actually her, it's a him. He leaps onto the guy, takes a bite out of his ear, and we find out that the guy leading the group hunting these Skrulls is a Skrull himself. And my guess is this goes back to Secret Invasion, when after Secret Invasion, the Skrull Empire was basically decimated, and it just folded into all these kind of fractured factions within the remnants of the Empire. And this group sees these Skrulls as traitors for not reintegrating back into Skrull culture. But yeah, so the bad Skrull killed the tentatively good Skrull's partner, and now it's really going down.
Yeah.
Gay Skrulls. That's the thing I never thought would happen.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
I would like to pause here.
Sure.
We're 45 minutes into the podcast. We still have a dozen books to review, give or take.
Yeah.
And we're up to Ultimates 2, number 6. And we're not going to give, I'm reviewing it, and we're not going to give this book the credit it deserves. But this is a good book, man. This is a good series. This thing is, it's really good. For time restraint purposes, I'm going to have to hurry through the recap, but doggone, this is a good series.
It is really good. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
I'm just going to go back and read 1 through 6 at some point when I have time. And I don't know when I'll have time because we're getting 25 books a week, but dude, it's a good book. Anyway, it begins with the history of the First Firmament, which at this point we're in the 8th itineration after Secret Wars. We're in the 8th itineration of the universe. And the First Firmament basically explains what happened in the first 7 and how we got here with Eternity in chains and how he manipulated things to get Rhinesthoff. I'm not looking at it.
Rotostov?
Rotostov. Yeah, I wasn't looking at it. To work for him. Right down to how he manipulated the Celestial Destroyer that we saw at the beginning of Civil War II. So he's been manipulating things for a while, and now we see what he's been manipulating and how we got here. And that's where we pick up on about page 9. I was going to say 6 or 7, page 9, with Rotostov ready to fight the Avengers, or excuse me, the Ultimates and what are these other guys called? Anyway, they're there. They see that Galactus has fallen, and Rostov is basically doing his villain monologue, and the Ultimates are trying to defeat him. And Captain Marvel, she's not calling herself that now. She's calling herself something else. And Blue Marvel, which is why she's not calling herself that. What's she calling herself? Photon? It's Monica. It's Monica LeBeau.
Spectrum.
Spectrum. Thank you, Spectrum. Yes. She's calling herself Spectrum. Anyway, I don't know. They join bodies, which, they got a thing going anyway. So
they like fuse together.
Yeah, which combines their powers, and then they attack him, and that kind of weakens him. And then finally, Phil Vaught tells the other guys to help him. And we find out that they've got something called the Psi-Force, which looks a whole lot like Phoenix, and the Psi-Hawk, excuse me.
Yes, the Psi-Hawk. I don't know what that means, but apparently it's another bird-like, unimaginably powerful being.
Yeah. So, he attacks Rostov also. And at that point, the Monica Blue Marvel being goes over and heals Connor Sims because, it's got that power. And then Connor Sims, once he's regained himself, realized that he has the life force that Galactus needs, because what Rostov said was when they made Galactus, they didn't just make Galactus the planet killer again. They made Galactus so that he was going to suck the life out of everything in the multiverse continually. He was just going to exponentially keep eating more and more and more and more. So when Connor Sims, his herald, goes to him, he gets to him and restores Galactus to the life bringer that he was, instead of the destroyer, the eater of worlds. Right. And that's kind of the happy ending of this section. Yeah. And Galactus kind of gets rid of Rostov for him.
Right. He literally eats him, which was a little unnerving.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. It was,
there you go.
It was unnerving to me. It was great. This book was really good.
It was really good. The Ultimates live happily ever after, and the First Firmament still hanging out there waiting on him.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the original universe. I think it transcends gender. That thing is something.
Yeah.
Black Panther number 13 also deals with cosmic deities. We start out in New York City at a very fancy hotel where T'Challa and Storm are hanging out. We'll call it hanging out. And he asks her, are you really, because she's considered the goddess of thunder, is she really a goddess? And this whole issue revolves around the Wakandan pantheon. We've seen the Panther aspect, which is what T'Challa and the Black Panther. The title of the Black Panther is basically an avatar to the Panther god of Wakanda. But we're introduced to Bast, Kokuo, Mujaji. I can't pronounce some of these. To all these other gods in that pantheon. And it's, I don't know. We're learning more about Wakanda, which is good. There's also this story of a door opening in the middle of a forest in Wakanda and snake people coming out. That probably is bad. It was basically an issue to introduce you to the religious traditions of Wakandans. It was good. I enjoyed it. Ta-Nehisi Coates, Ta-Nehisi Coates is still writing it. And we actually have a new artist, Wilfredo Torres, has taken over for Brian Stelfreeze, which is a bummer because I really enjoyed Stelfreeze's art on this book. But Torres is pretty good too.
Yeah. I
It was good.
enjoyed the art. I enjoy both the arts, and
This is this is a new story arc in this title. We had this 10 issue, really 11 or 12 issue story of it was a political intrigue. The future of Wakanda. This feels like a little bit of a departure from that. And you may see Ta-Nehisi Coates get into some deep thoughts about religion and the gods. But mostly it feels like this is going to be more action flick kind of writing. It's just going to be a cool, fun comic book story. It's a nice little change of pace.
Yeah. Deadpool versus the Punisher #2. Speaking of a cool, fun change of pace. At the end of issue 1, the Punisher, Frank Castle, shot Deadpool right in the forehead. Turns out he did that so Deadpool wouldn't remember what happened. So Deadpool wakes up, and they're riding along in the battle van, and Deadpool's just babbling. And they go to this place where people escape the United States and basically escape, change your identity, go where you want to be. And the bank's wife and daughter that we thought were dead last issue are there trying to escape. Everybody's after the bank because they know he's having money problems, because turns out his wife has taken all the account numbers, and the Kingpin's calling him one of his money. Other people are calling one of their money, and the wife has scammed with all of it. Frank finds out that she's there. He doesn't want to kill her, but he ain't happy with her either. Deadpool finds out that they're there, and he finds up fighting some goopy villains. Apparently they're in Texaco or Texaco. That's what I meant to say, because they're right around the Texas-Mexico border. And there's this dude, I don't know, he's some kind of Mexican villain, and he's mad at Deadpool for making chimichanga his catchphrase, and they fight. And finally Deadpool starts to turn on Castle again, so he pops him in the forehead so he can erase his memories. It's funny.
Yeah, it sounds sufficiently goofy for a Deadpool Punisher book.
With lots of people being shot and blown up, and not for children.
Yeah, never for children.
No, never for children.
No.
Moving
on to Elektra #3. She's still stuck in what's this dude's name?
Arcade. Murder World.
That's it, in his murder world. And it's mostly just her doing a lot of slashing and killing and getting ahead and she's playing the Murder World game. And the problem with the Murder World game, as she finds out here at the end, is it never ends. She can beat every challenge that he throws at her. He's just going to keep evolving the game into something else.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Hulk #5. This book is okay. It's like walking in mud, man. It's just plodding along. And I just wish it would get there. Have you been reading it?
Oh, yeah. I read the last issue.
We
just put it in gear, man. Get that thing going.
That's what I'm saying. Jennifer wakes up in hospital. We got hospital scenes where everybody's feeling sorry for her, where she's feeling sorry for herself. She's on the rooftop with what's this girl's name? Maze.
Macy, something like that.
Mace. I can't even find it. Mace, there it is. Mace Bruin. Her monsters there chasing Jennifer Waters. Jennifer Waters doesn't become the Hulk. She's fighting to control not being the Hulk. Then there at the end, her eyes are turning green, and hopefully next issue she'll become the Hulk, even though she's trying not to be. Dude, we've been going through this for 5 issues, man. Come on. We've seen coffee. We've seen baking shows. We've seen 5 issues of this. Come on.
Yeah, go somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm with you. What is going somewhere is Infamous Iron Man. This is another one that I've really enjoyed, and I'm sad that Brian Michael Bendis isn't going to be writing it anymore. So we meet up with is it Craig Robinson? I forget the Hood. I forget what his real name is, but the Hood. He basically walks into, it's not the bar with no name, but it's where all the villains hang out. He walks in and he says, look, we all know, we've all seen it. The Doctor Doom's gone straight for real, and he knows where the bodies are buried. He's going to kill us all. We're all dead. So what are we going to do about it? And it's funny because it's every B and C list villain that has ever. I mean, you've got the Wrecker's there, with his wrecking crew. You've got Paladin. You've got Living Laser. It's all these B and C listers. The Hood. And they hear this and they're like, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave the country. We should leave now. Let's go right now. And what the Hood wants to do is have all of them band together and work together to fight off Doctor Doom, essentially. There's a debate about whether that's going to work and if the Hood's the one to do it. While they're debating, Doom shows up and promptly kicks everybody's butt. Everybody's. He takes them all out. Every last one of them, almost effortlessly. Pardon me. We find this out because the Wrecker is one of the few who gets away and goes to tell, is it Maria Hill? Yeah, I guess it's Maria Hill. Because no, it's Sharon Carter. Yeah, he tells Sharon Carter and Ben Grimm gets involved. So Ben goes to track down Doom and he's wondering what to do. He goes back to his hotel room to find Doom sitting there waiting for him, eating his food. And they have this long talk about what their history is and Doom's trying to sell it. He's trying to tell Ben Grimm that I'm for real and I'm doing this because this is the best thing I could be doing. If I thought sitting in prison would absolve me of everything that I've done, that's what I would do. But I feel that this is what really will absolve me of my sins. And Ben doesn't believe him. Ben's like, look, man, that we go back further than anybody and I ain't buying it. Doom leaves. Ben goes back into his hotel room to find Reed Richards sitting at the table. What? Reed Richards? Yep, Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Did you read this?
I did. Yes, enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So on the second to last page, Doom's standing in the doorway looking over Ben's shoulder into the hotel room. He was about to say something when he stops and then decides to turn and leave. Do you think he saw Reed Richards show up?
I don't know, because I don't think he and Reed are getting along, because Reed's fooling around with his mom.
Well, the Reed that's fooling around with his mom and that showed up here isn't our Reed Richards. It's the Maker.
Yeah, but he still is fooling around with his mom. Either way, you don't want to get in a fight with your mom's boyfriend.
Right, yeah, but right. I'm just saying, do you think that's who he saw?
I have no idea.
Okay. Anyway, this isn't the Reed Richards that we were hoping for. It's the scary one.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoying this book, enjoying Alex Maleev's art on the book. It's all good.
Is Man-Thing number 3 all good?
Probably not.
Did you read it?
No, because the last two have been awful.
Okay, it's awful. Do I have to review it? The old father's missing. Man-Thing wanders around looking for him. At some point, he becomes, what's his name? Something Salas. Ted Salas again instead of Man-Thing when he's in this arena having to fight these monsters, or they're going to kill the old father, and I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either.
I mean,
this could have been really good with R.L. Stein writing it. Instead, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and it's bad writing too. That's the thing. It's bad writing.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, it's not just. And let me say this. It's not just. It wasn't a story that I wasn't interested in. It wasn't a character that I wasn't interested in. I went into it with open mind, and it was written and narrated in a style that I didn't enjoy. When I say it was bad writing, I mean it was written in a way that I really did not enjoy.
Yeah, I don't care for it either. It's just bad.
Mighty Thor number 18.
I was looking so forward to it because I like R.L. Stein and I like Man Thing, and this isn't a chocolate and peanut butter situation. This is a peanut butter and pickled fish situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mighty Thor number 18. We open with Quentin Quire, Kid Omega. If you don't know who that is, go back to our What's Next episode on New X-Men, because he's introduced in 134, I think it is. He's one of the X kids, and there's a whole thing. He's hanging out with Krakoa, who's a sentient island. And the Thor shows up and recruits them for their cause. Meanwhile, the god of the Shi'ar are upset because technically Thor beat them in a battle of the gods. So they decide to destroy the universe or maybe do something worse. And that something worse is summoning the Phoenix Force.
By the way, on page 6, they're standing there talking to Quentin. It's a beach, and then Krakoa raises its head, and everybody kind of looks around, and then its head kind of disappears into the sand real quick.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It's funny. If you read it panel by panel, it's really funny.
Yeah.
So now they have to deal with the Phoenix Force, which, as they explain here, is unbeatable. And as we know, we're very familiar with the Phoenix Force for those who have been reading comics for a long time, especially X-Men. But you've got Quentin Quire with you, who is a future avatar of the Phoenix Force. So if anybody can deal with it, maybe it's him.
There we go.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 18. I'm going to wing this without notes or even looking at the book. This is pretty good. And here's why I'm going to do it without notes, because the first 17 issues have been about her dealing with her loneliness and adapting to a world where she's like in the 4th grade and the smartest person literally the smartest person in the world. And this whole issue, what's the storyline called?
I don't know.
I got it. I think it's called The Smartest One There Is. But she realizes that she's fighting these Doombots, and there's tons of them, and she literally cannot defeat them by herself. The Smartest There Is, part 6. So she sets a trap for the Doombots, but what she does is she contacts everyone that she's met in the first 17 issues. So when the Doombots arrive, Amadeus Cho's there, Ben Grimm's there, X-Men are there, the guys from the first issue are there from the past. Of course, Devil Dinosaur's there. It's Marvel Girl's there. I mean, it's a real quick. Doctor Strange is there. Kid Kree's there. It's a real quick dumping because she's learned the lesson that she can't do everything by herself and she needs friends. So it's a very nice tie up to the story that even though she's by herself, she needs people with her, and it's cool. It's a good little wrap up to the story, and it's a good moral lesson.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait. This can't be the last issue.
Oh no, man.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No. This
okay, for a second I thought you. Okay.
No. It's 18. It's the end of a storyline. It's the end of a trade paperback. We're moving on to another storyline next issue.
Okay.
Remember, all issues that end in 6 are the end of a trade paperback.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Or multipliers of 6, I should say. In this case, 18.
Multiples of 6, 18.
Yes.
Patsy Walker number 17. is the last issue. Yeah, I feel the same way. It got 17 issues. It was a good run for a book that I've liked but not loved, and sometimes have not liked at all. They wrap it all up real quick. Turns out Jen She-Hulk was able to negotiate the rights for her books back to Patsy Walker. She's rich now. So her and her friends all go shopping.
Huh.
They go to a mall and go shopping.
Well, I'm glad it had a happy ending.
They run into some folks there who no one's ever heard of, and Patsy Walker does what she does, which is her superpower now, which is befriends her villains, and everybody lives happily ever after.
I thought that was Squirrel Girl's power.
She does the same thing.
Okay.
It's, these positive books, which I like. I enjoy Squirrel Girl quite a lot.
Yeah.
There actually is a really neat page on the very last page. It's this like panned out shot of Patsy Walker and all her friends at the mall. They're all like around a fountain or whatever in a food court. And it's, you've got Patsy Walker and her friends. And then if you look around, there's Squirrel Girl and Kate. What's her name?
I don't know.
Hawkeye. And America Chavez. Bishop. Thank you. I wanted to say Bartlett, and I knew that wasn't right. Kate Bishop and America Chavez are hanging out, and Doctor Strange and Wong are trying on hats at a kiosk, and there's just all these little Easter eggs of like characters in the crowd. It's kind of like a little Where's Waldo, like, oh look, there's that guy's doing that, and that guy's over there, and oh look who's in the corner over here, and it's neat. But yeah, that's it was a fine little wrap up.
You have Rocket Raccoon number 5, which is the last issue of this, so we can relaunch the series next month with number 1, or next week. I don't know. Don't care. This is a pretty entertaining issue, though. Rocket fights their way out of the prison with the help of Kraven the Hunter, because Kraven the Hunter doesn't feel it's a fair fight if Rocket's in prison. So they get freed. Then Kraven catches up with him later, and at some point feels Rocket's he's going to let Rocket go because he's not worthy, and Rocket gives him all he's had, and then Rocket drops a flashbang down the front of Kraven's pants and says, hey, deal with that, and walks off into the sunset.
There you go.
Yes, Rocket blew his off. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Thanos number 6. By the way, on the cover there is Phoenix and the Phoenix Force. So how is Phoenix Force in 2 places at the same time? Because I thought there was only like one in the universe. I don't know. Maybe, I thought it was like one of the forces of the universe. Maybe it's just me.
But
what do I know? I've just been reading comics for 50 years. What do I know? How can how can one of the beings of the universe be in 2 places at the same time? So,
well, if Wolverine can do it, then I'm sure Thanos can.
No, not Thanos, the Phoenix Force.
Or the Phoenix Force, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you start off with a very angry Thanos. He basically tells these guys, hey, I'm leaving the prison. You can basically become my army and bend the knee or die. Doesn't matter which. And we cut away to another scene where Thane is trying to get the Phoenix egg, and everybody decides to stop him. But to stop him, they shoot him, and he falls onto the egg. Then there's a lot of conversing around the egg as everybody argues over it. The problem is, to get the power of the Phoenix Force, you have to have a death and a rebirth, and they've just shot Thane and he died, and then he comes to life again. Then we cut back to Thanos, and nobody decided to bow the knee, so they're all dead. Yeah. And Thanos leaves, gets a spaceship, decides he'll go to his home planet. When he gets to his home planet, his home base, he finds everything destroyed, everybody dead, and he finds Thane with the Phoenix hovering above him with Lady Death waiting on him. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And there's more, but I won't tell you about it, so you can read it yourself. Good art in this issue.
Yeah. Then we have Mighty Captain Marvel #4. Carol finds the facility and the scientist who's been capturing these Kree kids, beats her up, frees the kids. They're free now, and we're going to move on to a new storyline.
Yay.
Yay. I haven't cared for this book at all. I don't like the art.
You know, I was hoping for more from this book.
I was too. I kind of wanted that, like what we had with the previous Captain Marvel series, a little bit more introspection into Carol, a little more, character building for Carol Danvers. But nah, this is pretty. It's a lot of fluff and no substance.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm kind of starting to feel the same way about Darth Maul #3. Moving to our Star Wars too. Have you been reading this?
Yeah, I was hoping for more of this too.
He, just to give a quick recap, he confronts the Jedi that's been captured, who's the one that's being auctioned off. The mob boss that's auctioning the Jedi off finds him, and they come to an amicable agreement. He goes back to his bounty hunter group. Through various means, they kill everybody and steal the Jedi lady, and yeah, whatever. Also, there's an explosion. What's going to happen is that instead of what Darth Maul wants to do is kill this Jedi and test his abilities against someone similar to himself. What's going to happen is in order to get out of this situation that he's found himself in, he's going to have to team up with the Jedi to survive. The thing is, why does any of this matter? This story is taking place at a time that's leading up to where the story of Star Wars begins. This Jedi is someone we've never heard of before. I'm not sure what bearing this has on anything at all. And, I don't waste my time with BS Star Wars stories if they're not going to have some sort of consequence on the narrative. It's what Star Wars Rebels does, even though it's a cartoon. If it's a 20-minute cartoon that can have large ramifications or add context and meaning to these other things that we know of to be Star Wars, then this book can too. And if you're just writing a Darth Maul book to write a Darth Maul book, then don't.
I agree.
Now maybe in 4 and 5 or 6 we're going to see this, become relatable in some way. It's going to have some sort of consequence, or at the very least, Darth Maul is going to learn a lesson of some kind. But right now, who cares?
Yep.
Yeah, right now it doesn't matter.
I totally agree.
Not that the book is bad, but I just don't. It's just not hitting for me. It's just not.
Yep.
But we had a ton of good books this week. So what was your favorite one, Pat?
I'm going to take a different approach on my book of the week this week.
Okay.
After IVX, Marvel rebooted the X books.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously had one of their infamous creative meetings and took the whole group in a different direction, which they've desperately needed for how many years now?
A long time.
Several years. And they got it right. It's early, but you can tell the directions that these books are going. And I've read some of these books. I mean, I've read, several issues of X-Men Gold. I've read some of the Civil War books. Secret Empire books. All these sagas can run together in my mind. And what the editorial group has done with the X books, Old Man Logan, Weapon X, X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold. I'm looking forward to the Jean Grey book. we know you and I both know some of the things that are coming in X-Men Legacy or in the Legacy series in a few months. They've really got the X-Men going in the right direction. And these 4 X-Men books that came out this week are just all good. And when was the last time we could say that about the X-Men books?
It's been a while.
Dude, it's been a while since you just looked at the X-Men books and say they don't suck.
I mean, I've been, because I'm doing this a lot for What's Next, but also I want to revisit some of this old X-Men stuff that I love so much that I read as a teenager. You know, I'm going back and reading pretty much everything the X-Men have done since 2001. And even then, stuff was really good. And it's only been the last few years that I just haven't enjoyed the X-Men stuff. Pretty much since Avengers versus X-Men, to be honest.
Yeah, that's when it kind of fell off a cliff, was after that.
Yeah, and so that's been 3 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm going to take that whole group of books and say that's my book of the week.
Yeah, the revamped X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it because I have a soft spot for the X-Men.
And I could say Ultimate 6, I could say Secret Empire, Free Comic Day, but I'm going to take that block of X books and say that's my book of the week.
Yeah, you know, it's just good to see them back where they belong.
Absolutely.
Mine is going to be Ultimates 2 number 6 because that book was it was the cat's pajamas.
Good.
Yeah, it was good.
In the dump this week,
we have more 90s Doctor Strange. And we have a Carnage one-shot from 1996 that's written by Warren Ellis that is absolutely bone-chilling. I saw this.
I can read that.
Just go glance at it and read a little bit of it and read it panel by panel. Because there's a certain shock value in the art, and it's got that real 90s art feel to it. It looks like a book from the 90s, and it serves the narrative really well. But I saw this and I went, okay, we got a bunch of Doctor Strange stuff. Why is there one Carnage book? And I realized it's like a 34-page one-shot. And I didn't really read the whole thing. I kind of skimmed it, but it's Warren Ellis and Carnage. And if there's one thing, Warren Ellis is a great horror writer. But one thing he really understands the psychology of Carnage, where Carnage he wants to live up to that name. He wants to kill people, and he enjoys killing people because it's fun. In fact, in this book, he calls it, someone actually asks him, why do you kill people? And he says, it's pretty. It's from the art to the writing, the dialogue, all of it, it's just demented. So if you enjoy this sort of stuff, this is for you.
You know,
I enjoyed it because I like Carnage and I can get into that and I appreciate that sort of thing. Not for the children at all, and not for the faint of heart.
I'm glad in the 80s and 90s in particular, Marvel did a lot of graphic novels and a lot of one-shots. These days, they do most of it in limited series. They don't really do those oversized, heavy books. I think if they published one, well, they do the trade paperbacks. But if they publish like a real graphic novel these days, they probably have to charge $30 for it. So they do the trade paperbacks. But I'm glad to see them taking books like this, like that Ghost Rider Wolverine Punisher book last week, X-Men God Loves Man Kills, the Death of Captain Marvel, some of the old graphic novels, taking all these things and putting them in the Marvel Unlimited. I'm really glad to see them showing up here.
Yeah. Just to give you a taste of what this Carnage book is like, let me read an excerpt.
Don't.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Okay.
It's sick and twisted. But
tell us about V for Vendetta in the classic read.
Okay. So yeah, that's not a Marvel book, but it's November, and that means we read V for Vendetta, or at the very least watch the movie. Those of you who are familiar with it understand why, because it's the 5th of November, which is Guy Fawkes night. But also, I think given current circumstances, it's worth a look. Have you ever read V for Vendetta or seen the movie?
No.
Do you know what it's about?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
It's a dystopian.
Don't get me wrong. I'm familiar with V for Vendetta, but beyond that, no, none.
It's a dystopian future Britain where a fascist regime has taken over Britain, and the people have just kind of accepted it. And you have this one mysterious hero who wears a Guy Fawkes mask, who in the beginning of this blows up the Parliament building as a big middle finger to the established political body. And it explores over the course of the book. It's about a year of time, and it explores his mission to essentially overthrow an oppressive government.
Okay.
And become a symbol for the people throwing off their oppressors.
Okay.
So it's something that I watch the movie and sometimes read the graphic novel once every November. So I'm recommending you do the same thing.
Okay.
It was written by Alan Moore around the same time he wrote The Watchmen, and it's good stuff. So watch the movie if you get time. It's a well-done movie too, as well as a well-done graphic novel. Anyway, we've gone pretty long this week, so that's going to wrap us up. If you want to email us, you can hit us up at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Please visit our website,
www.6monthsbehind.com.
And before we go, Pat, as usual, do you have any wisdom for our true believers?
Some days I accomplish amazing things. Other days, I lock my keys in the refrigerator.
I've had those days. All right. See you guys next week.
Peace.